Grow Garden 2 just came out a few weeks ago on June 12th, just over a year after the release of Grow Garden 1. To say the least, the release of the second version has been somewhat controversial in the community, and I'm here to address some of the issues people have had with the new game in this video. I plan to review and compare both games to determine if people's complaints are valid over the new game, or if they are exaggerating the similarity of the two versions. As for my qualifications, I have played both games for countless of hours and have amassed trillions of shekels in the first game, as well as over 100 million shekels in the newly released version. With that being said, let's jump into the comparison. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to split the review into 3 sections: style and design, gameplay and features, and optimization and performance. The UIs, mainly the ones at the top of the screen, have been changed to look much more professional and 3D as opposed to the originals that were flat and less detailed than the current UI. They also added a more polished menu for the pets and their perks, which is over here, as well as a new UI to show the current plants growing in your garden. All the UI features have been greatly improved and are much more streamlined than the first game. The layout of the game is also greatly enhanced in the newer version, featuring an upgrade from 4-player servers to 8-player servers. As you can see, there's much more gardens in the game. It also features a circular design rather than a square design. With the new circular design, all of the stalls for making purchases are in a small circle in the middle of their map, which makes them equidistant from everybody's garden and prevents them from being on opposite sides of the map like they were on the first game. This makes it much easier to navigate and takes much less time to get from each booth to the next. I think this provides a much easier playing experience, as trying to get to the gears and pet shops in the first game was incredibly tedious, and the only way to improve that was by buying the recall wrench, which was not always in stock. Finally, the plant designs have greatly improved from the first game to the second game. Many of the plants are totally new and weren't featured in the first game, but the ones that were in the original game have been changed to much more natural designs. My favorite change, which I actually don't have one right here right now, but my favorite change was the blueberry bush, which was originally square and would grow to incredibly large sizes. Now, it is round and doesn't grow to be as large. Instead, the berries grow larger without taking up more room. A new feature with the plant designs are the super seeds, which you can see right here, like the venom spitter and the Venus flytrap right here, where many of them are animated and actually attack players who are attempting to steal from your garden. I find this a great addition to the game that makes the plants feel more alive and more interesting than they did before. Overall, I prefer the design and style of the second game to the first one. It kept the classic style of the original game while making the game more polished and visually appealing. Plus, the improved layout results in a better gameplay experience. The biggest gameplay change to the game revolves around stealing. In the original Grow Garden, stealing was a paid feature that required you to pay a fee for every plant you wanted to steal. So basically, you would walk up to the plant and in someone else's garden, and it would say steal, and when you would hit E, it would prompt you to purchase something. You could do it at any time as long as you had the Robux to do so. For the person being stolen from, there really wasn't anything that you could do about it. Those who paid to steal your crops could, and that was it. However, in the new version, stealing has been totally revamped. Everyone is allowed to steal, provided that it is nighttime, like it is right now, and the garden's owner has left their plants unattended. As you can see, it says unlocked right now, because I am not on my garden. So once I return to my garden, the unlock thing goes away. Also, just to mention it, nighttime was a special event in the first game that resulted in moonlit crops, while in the second game, it is on a timer and happens every 5 minutes. As I previously mentioned, super seed crops are able to defend your garden while you are out by attacking unwanted players, as well as gnomes and some pets. You can also use your shovel and the new strawberry sniper to protect your garden from burglars by chasing them to hit them or shoot them, which will give you your stolen goods back. Overall, the new stealing feature is frustrating, but in an incredibly fun way and makes the game much more interactive. Speaking of pets, the pet system has been changed as well. There are much fewer pets than the original game, however the way you obtain them and the perks that they give you value are much more useful. Instead of having to purchase eggs from the pet booth, as in the first game, pets are wandering around in the open circle waiting to be picked up and brought to your garden. Instead of having to wait for an egg to hatch, you get them immediately and get to pick which ones you get. However, pets can also be stolen, so you have to be much more careful about protecting them as they are traveling to your garden. Finally, mutations have been changed significantly from the first game as well. Instead of letting your plants sit for weeks in the first game waiting to get a handful of low-value mutations to make your crops worth millions, you can get only one high-value mutation per crop in the second game. This had made mutations even more rare than the first game. However, when you finally get one, you can profit millions on just one event. I find this to be a simpler feature, as you know your plant can only get one mutation, so once it has been mutated, you can pick it up and sell it for whatever it is worth. There's no need to wait for the perfect combination of mutations to spike the value of your crops. All you need is one, and then the multiplier will be significant. Obviously, there are other gameplay changes, but these are the biggest ones I've noticed in my own gameplay, and I really enjoy all these changes. Overall, gameplay is much more complex and interactive than the first game. It's a little bit less of a sitting around and waiting game, and more of a protect your crops and mess around with the other players game, and I appreciate that change. Finally, I'd like to address the performance of the game and how it operates. The first game was absolutely horrible with optimization. It often lagged and caused computers to run hot or crash while playing. The issue mainly stemmed from the dozens of mutations people could get on their plants and the absolute ridiculous size of people's gardens. Although the second game still has some performance issues, it is slightly better. There's a limit to how many plants you can have growing at one time on your garden, and the limit of mutations has helped a ton in my opinion as well. However, doubling the size of the servers largely rendered those updates useless, and the game still has some performance issues. As with both games, there are some small glitches that have been abused by some players. I'd like to specifically point out to large crops in the second game, as I've noticed this as a streamer. If you have a large crop, specifically bamboo, much like this one that I have right here. Quickly equipping and unequipping that crop rapidly would cause a huge lag spike and cause the game to run absolutely awfully. People on my streams have used this against me and caused my game to run so poorly that I had to go in a private server to continue streaming. Is there much they can do about that? I'm not sure, but there's obviously room for improvement. Okay, so we've went over the major changes to the game since the release of Grow Garden 2. So, are the complaints valid? Are they really just the same game and made to make more money? In my opinion, no. Are the games similar? Yes, of course. They're made by the same developers and made as an improvement to the first game. However, I think the changes they made to the game vastly improved the gameplay of Grow Garden 1 while keeping the core aspects of the game the same. Generally, I think both versions are awesome. If Grow Garden 2 was never released, I would never think about it and would be perfectly happy with the game we had originally. Regardless, the new game is awesome, and I think it's a great, improved version that thinks about the player and attempts to improve our gameplay. What do you think of the new game? Do you love it or hate it? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more videos in the future. Thank you for watching. Bye!